I recently finished The Ethical Slut. And what's interesting about that book is that I read the book after I'd already learned everything that the book revealed to me. It would have been cool if I would have just read the book first and then started my slut journey, but it didn't happen that way. And it's fine, because maybe I wouldn't have made the decisions that I made. I probably wouldn't have had the rich experiences that I had. But it was definitely interesting to get through that book and be like, yo, I actually was able to learn these things on my own through just living life and having an open mind and experiencing things and trying things out and seeing how they fail and what succeeds. And even in failure, it's not really a failure, it's just a learning opportunity. Everyone has learning curves. I don't lose. I either win or I learn. So
I love that.
Yeah. I don't lose. I either win or I learn. And I apply that to my sex life. My audience knows that I believe everything you do should be treated like sex. You should find pleasure in all things. You should find ways to just feel and be in the moment. Like, I feel like I have a very tantric way of approaching the world when it comes to just energy. And you can find things that are very orgasmic that has nothing to do with sex. So if you approach life in that way where it's like you can find pleasure in everything, you can find excitement, you can find fun, you can find love in everything that you do.
Yes.
Your quality of life, you can't tell me your quality of life ain't gonna be good. But we are going to get into all those things and more with my guest today. I have joining me someone in the Chicago community that is into the lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to hand it over to him to introduce himself, because again, if you are listening and you are in Chicago, I get so many DMs asking me like, where where play parties are in Chicago? And I'm like, yeah. Like, and it's funny because I've recommended people go to your events and stuff. We have some more collabing to do coming up soon.
Absolutely.
But yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, well, hello everybody. I am Torre, the love coach. I've been in the lifestyle myself now for about, I'm gonna say 13 years. 13 years. Yes, my first time getting into the lifestyle, my sugar mama introduced me to it. I had a sugar mama and she was like, you wanna go have a threesome? And I was like, yeah. She was like,
as if you were gonna be like, no.
You know, she was like, it's just, let me ask you. And she was like, well, I got at this party we can go to and we can go check it out and you can see, you know, if it's something you like. So I'm like, all right, let's go. And so we go to the party, and the problem was it was like 80% of all other races but our own. And
which is very typical in Chicago.
Yes.
Guys, I've gone to play parties and it's almost always 90% non-black.
Yeah.
And and it's crazy because as with all spaces, when we are the minority, as soon as we find ourselves like,
we find that corner and we are there.
You knew what I was about to say.
We are there. Every time you go, because you can look and you be like, as soon as you see two and they starting to go next to each other, next you know, you see 6 to 8 or 10. Me and my partner, me and her went to one in California, and we just sat at the bar and we just started passionately kissing each other. And then we had walked away, and all the black people followed behind because they was like, oh, we going where they going. Yeah. And so we ended up having our own little corner. And so Sugar Mama took me very first party, and she was like, what about her? And I was like, yeah, let's make it happen. And I'm talking all type of shit. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Wait till I get y'all upstairs. It's going to be amazing.
It's given it was not.
Who knows? No.
Tell me more.
So we're sitting there, okay, and I'm just like, all right, not knowing, like, I'm a firm believer that you fake it till you make it sometimes, okay? And so when people...
You can't fake erection.
No.
That's one thing you can't fake.
It was the threesome I was faking. Because the whole time I've been faking the idea that I can do it. Because I've been like, oh yeah, I've done it already. I got to do with one person what I did to the other. I got it. And so I get all excited, a little too excited. And within 3 minutes, little man was like, I'm out. It's over with. It's done. And I was like, damn. And I said it so loud that the people around was like, it's okay, buddy. It's all right.
That kind of makes it worse.
Like, they didn't know. Like, they was running me. It was like, it's all right, man. Just get you some. It happens to all of us.
I love the community because they're always so understanding and supportive. But it's like, I don't want this shit right now. Yeah. Like, get out of my face.
And then, so the other girl, she was like, well, just go downstairs, get you some food, get you some water. You know, come back up here and we'll go at it again. So I was like, all right. So I go downstairs to get my food, to get my water. I had to use the bathroom. Bathroom took me an extra 20 minutes because the line was long, right? Mm-hmm. So as I'm going upstairs and I'm walking, I could hear my sugar mama. And I know her moans. And so I'm thinking to myself, man, that sounds just like her. But I'm like, still walking to it. It's getting louder. Then I hear other moans. And I'm like, man, I ain't hear those moans before. What's going on with that one? And so I go up there and this guy, toy in one hand, his own utensil in the other woman, and he is like, when I say going to work. And so at that moment, my brain was just like, you should be angry right now. But then I was like, can I really be angry? This is my fault. And so I just sat there with my food and just ate and just watched. just sitting there like, crying on the inside, okay? Because not on the outside.
Because you're that's not your ego. That is nothing but your ego.
Oh, the ego was hit so hard.
Yeah,
it was hit so hard.
It was a gut punch.
Oh, it was a gut punch. He was in it because in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, he'll come quick, you know? Like, he'll eventually. No, that man for 35 minutes straight, okay? There was no stopping. But I learned so much because I was like, oh, that's what you do to stop yourself? Oh, so that's how you do. Oh, and ever since then, I fell in love. Because even after that, they were like, all right, so you ready? I was like, after y'all take a shower, yeah. But like after that, let's go again. Yeah. And I was able to do it for 15 minutes the second time. So I was happy. I was like, yes, progress. That's what happens. And so after that, I started going to different parties in the city, but I noticed the same problem. All the parties was 90% not us and 10% us, okay? And so then I was like, all right, well, there's got to be us somewhere, right? And so I started to find these smaller Black groups that would either be on Facebook, Instagram, or whatnot, right?
Right.
But these are groups of 120, 30 people, maybe 200, right? And the problem with Black people when they try to start their own business is they feel like everybody's trying to encroach on their space, and so therefore they don't do unity style workings. And so you'll find a Black party that's all Black, but it'll be the same people no matter how many times you go. You can go to these people party for a whole year and you probably only seen 3 or 4 new people.
Right.
So then at that point, why am I still spending the same money to keep seeing the same people? So that became an issue. And so let's go fast forward to about 9 years later when I met my partner. And I had told her, I was like, yeah, so let's talk about open relationships and you being with more than one man because I don't eat ass. And I feel like that's something that I shouldn't stop you from having as you're feeling.
You know what? Let's pause there. Because now I personally have not ran into a man that hasn't ate my ass.
Okay.
However, ass eating isn't like a non-negotiable thing for me. Right. Like it's like I'm cool without it. However, if you are overly opposed, I might look at you a little sideways just because of the experimentalist in me. Like I am someone that likes to try a lot of different things. So if you are someone who's like, no anal whatsoever, again, I don't have to have anal, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's whether it be eating ass, being penetrated, like what have you, like,
right.
But to tell me it's off the table, I'm like, Are you like, I'm like, I don't want to call you vanilla, but it's getting real Neapolitan around here.
And absolutely. I feel like we all have different sexual boundary limits.
Yes,
right? We all have different things that we don't do. Like, I'll give an example. Me and my partner was at a party, and so someone gave her the option of her giving them a golden shower.
Okay.
And now that is something I am still vanilla on because you are not giving me a golden shower. However, because I don't want to stop your opportunity because life is too short. If I know that I'm going to tell you no at something, then to tell you I'm still the only person you could be with sexually sounds like an unfair life advantage.
I agree. And I think that's where the misconceptions and the misunderstanding around what polyamory actually is and what it means comes into play, right? Because people assume like, all right, if you're poly, it's just because you want to fuck a lot of people. No, not necessarily, because polyamorous relationships are more than just sexual. You can have a really deep and intimate relationship with someone that you are not having sex with, or you're only having a specific type of sex with. Like you might decide like, you know what? I really like giving you oral. That's the only type of sex I want to have with you. And that is perfectly fine in the polyamorous community, right?
Yes, it is.
Because it is very expansive in the way that we view sex, in the way that we approach relationships. People view love and relationships as something where it's like a very limited amount of it. And I need to possess all of it if we are together or what have you. But me personally, I know that because I'm someone that's super experimentalist, it's almost nothing a man can ask me to do to him that I would be like, I don't like. There's very few things. Like I probably have like one or two hard limits. Like literally one or two. I have a lot of yeses and a couple maybes, but I don't really have a lot of no's. But the idea for someone to take that off the table and then I'm just expected to do without that. I think that's where when people weaponize monogamy and say like, oh, you come to me for everything, but then when someone comes to you, you get offended or you get angry. Or you be like,
ew, that's nasty. I'm not doing that.
Exactly. So now you judging me? Like, so you want me to come to you, but then you judging me, bro?
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here? And I think those are the types of conversations that we need to have, regardless of whether or not you want to be polyamorous, right? Because guess what? It's not the only two options are not monogamous and polyamorous. I don't consider myself polyamorous necessarily, but I am ethically non-monogamous. I am very like there are a lot of things that are, core beliefs of the polyamorous community that I do agree with. But I think what it comes down to is making sure you're having candid conversations with people so that you can create the type of relationship structure that works for you too. Because that doesn't have to look like what other people have.
No, all relationships are definitely different. And when we talk about ethical non-monogamy, what's very important is what are your boundaries? You have to determine that. You got to know what your boundaries are. What are you comfortable with? And a lot of people who want to study ethical non-monogamy, because one thing I tell people is that just because you poly don't mean your relationship is open. Because there are about 70% of poly people who want to close relationships.
It's poly closed. And I tell people, like, even when polyamory, again, y'all think like these are people that just want to fuck everybody. No, you have poly fidelity. You have poly close. You could be solo poly. If you're single and then you engage in, like, all right, cool, I have this relationship over here. I might have someone that I only see once or twice a year and I value that relationship. Or I might have I have a primary partner, right? And then we fluid share. But then I use, protection with other people. Like, what are the arrangements and the agreements that you have with people?
Yes. And that's very important to determine. And I will tell people, whether you want to do it.
Oh, 1 second. Guys, if you don't know what fluid bonding is, that's raw sex. So you're exchanging fluid. So that means, like, for example, I have a friend that does not fluid bond with anyone at like play parties, regardless of whether you've been vetted, tested, what have you. Like, he says like, look, I don't give oral at a play party at all under no circumstances. The only person I'll give oral to is the person that I'm there. That I'm there with. Yeah, that I'm there with.
Yes.
So that's what fluid bonding means.
I met a couple that had a boundary that they don't give head to no other person but each other. Right. Which makes threesomes boring if you're the third person and neither one of them can give you head. Because now you see your face. Yeah, that's the same face I made when I heard it.
And I would be so happy for someone to tell me that up front.
Right?
So I cannot be here because the moment I'm y'all not gonna do me and I'm not gonna do y'all either. So I'm just coochie. I just came here to be an extra coochie. I'm a pocket pussy at this point. No. You know what? I didn't sign up to be a pocket pussy. Like I like to be a lot of things to a lot of people. Yes. I don't think being a pocket pussy was in my 2024 bingo card. Like I just don't see that for me. Yes. And come on now, bro. Like my signature class is throat choreography. There's no way you want me to come to your bedroom and not put my mouth on something.
It makes sense.
Y'all tripping.
And that's why we tell people it's very important. Ask people what their boundaries are. Ask people what their limits are. If you're looking for a non-monogamous relationship, first, and this is very important, can you love more than one person? It's very important.
You have to unlearn a lot of the side effects of monogamy to even open yourself up to think about that to begin with, because that within itself, like, it's a great question to ask, but you also have to say, why do I think I only can love one person to be able to open that up?
Well, and so I have a couple client right now where they have this rule that they cannot have sex with a person more than 6 times, no matter who they is. So you can go and you could talk to whoever you want, right? But you can't have sex with them more than 6 times.
Why 6?
And
Did
so,
they tell you why?
Yes, because I was curious too.
Yeah,
when they said 6. I was like 12? No, just 6, right?
Just 6,
okay.
Right.
And it was created by the wife.
Okay.
Because the wife felt like if you have sex more than 6 times, you'll start to fall in love. And her fear is that she don't want her husband falling in love with another woman.
Right.
And so then
which is a valid concern with a lot of people that whether they're in the community or interested about the community, again, it's our ego. And thinking that the way someone feels about one person will somehow change how they feel about you. And
so what I tell people like that is don't be in an ethical non-monogamous relationship. Just be swingers. That's what you can be. Yeah. Anybody who's afraid to love more than one person, just be a swinger. Yeah. Because all you have to do is, your rule is, we'll only talk to other people when we go out to parties. To play, yes. That's it. We if it's not at a party, it's still just me and you. It works very well. Now you can have your, okay, we're going to go to a swinger party every 6 months, or we might go every 3 months or whatnot, whatever helps you. But I tell people, if your biggest fear is have your partner fall in love with another person, you shouldn't want them to have regular one-on-one sex with another person one time. Because you can fall in love with someone within 30 minutes of a conversation, depending on how the conversation is. You don't know what it is. I can run into you. We can have a whole bonding moment. Something could have happened where somebody crashed their car into the hotel, and then we had a whole thing, right? Now we done just had sex 3 times that day, saved your life, and all of a sudden, soulmate. Exactly. We trauma bonded. That is hilarious. And now they're confused because they're like, "But you only had sex with them once." Yeah, but I just feel like,
you know what that makes me think of? One of my favorite books by James Baldwin, Giovanni's Room.
Okay.
It was this man, he went to Paris, he fell in love. There was like it was a gay man, so it was like a bunch of it was super traumatic. There's some death in there. Okay. But it's a really good book, but it just makes me think about, like, you know, the romance aspect of it. Like, we romanticize the hell out of trauma bonding. Like,
yes,
all the time. And it's like, it's so unhealthy. That's why when things crash, they crash.
But if you really think about it, most love connections is through trauma. Because people go through the traumas of their past relationships and use that trauma to help them look for what they're looking for in the future. And so then when they find their person in the future and bond over their past experiences and say, I feel like I have a connection with you, it's still a trauma bond.
I am not mad at that. I am not mad at that at all.
What I tell people when you think about love, think about how many people you have been in love with in your life. Think about how many of those people. And then think about how many people you have dated throughout your whole life, okay? The amount of people you dated is probably not nowhere near close to 1% the population of this planet. Yet there's 8 billion people on this planet. And even if you could fall in love with one person after meeting 1%, then that means that there's a possibility for you to love 1,000,000 people. And so, love is an emotion, right?
You spitting.
Love. This is the one thing that we tell people: love is an emotion. It's easy to love someone. Like if I introduce you to someone and force you, it's this one movie where this woman was stuck in the elevator and the guy was stuck in the elevator with her. They knew nothing about each other, but like towards halfway the movie, they was making love and having sex, and then just to find out he done set her ass up and had her in the elevator on purpose. It was really wild. It was really wild. But for that split moment, because of that situation, they almost fell in love with each other because they was getting to know each other so well. And so
he basically kidnapped her?
In a way, yeah. It's a really good movie, but I forgot the name of it. But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Our grandparents has taught us that finding your partner means to first find someone you're attracted to. And then the moment that you find someone you're attracted to, become friends with them. And if y'all could like each other and tolerate each other, then this person, and so as long as love comes next, then that should be the person you marry. But that makes no fucking sense.
It don't.
It makes no sense.
It's not the correct way. Y'all be broke as hell.
But
y'all be broke as hell, miserable as hell when you stop, because that's the thing with things too. Like you could like who someone is at a point in time. Yeah. That don't mean I'm gonna like you in 5 years when life hit your ass and now you starting to change, and then 10 years and 50. Like I've been so many people in my life, and I attribute that to my very much Scorpio rebirth energy. Like I've had like 8 lives at this point. Yeah, and I kid you not. So one of my exes actually, he recently DM'd me. And we had a quick back and forth correspondence. And he told me, he said, you are hands down one of the most interesting women I've ever encountered. Aww. Because every time I dealt with you, and we probably dealt with each other a total of 4 times in our lives, from the age of 14 to now. Okay, okay. So he said, every single time I dealt with you, you were someone different.
I would hope so, though.
No, it was like vastly different. Like like we probably dealt with each other more than just 4 times in our lives. We've known each other a long time. But like literally every single time there was something totally different about me. And he could never really, he had to get to know me over and over and over again. Yeah. And I don't think we give ourselves enough grace when it comes to that, because if you just like the core, the essence of who someone is, then you can like them as they continue to change and as they continue to evolve. Yeah. You can't like just the exterior part, right? Because the exterior is what's going to change. Like Absolutely. The features, the mannerisms might change based on the evolution that they want to do within themselves. You can never truly always say like, no, I know everything about this person. Like, no, not necessarily. But someone's spirit, that is what you should be paying attention to. Absolutely. Because that's not going to change.
No, it's going to be there. It's going to be their core value self. But when you think about our grandparents, you lived in a city with 600 people. It took 3 weeks to travel to the next town. If you found somebody that was attractive and you knew you weren't going to be able to go nowhere else, you mind.
Right. The options were limited.
It was that makes very sense. Limited. So it makes sense that was their way. But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing that always fucked me up when it comes to the idea of love and looking for relationships, right? Okay, so let's go to 1790. Let's go to the year, year 1813, whatnot. 1813, the early 1800s, right? As a man, the most valuable thing I had was my land, my property, my animals, and my son. My wife was my daughter was only valuable if she was a virgin. Because if she was a virgin and she was good-willed, then it was easy to sell her off to someone who wanted my daughter.
Either way, she's just like the animals. So yeah.
Right? Okay. And so when we think about that justification of relationships and love, monogamy makes sense then, because you keep telling your daughters you have to be a virgin, you have to be of sound mind, you have to learn how to cook, you have to learn how to clean, you have to be all of this specific person, because you as a woman live in a world that you can't be successful unless you have a man, right? And so now, when we come to now, and I tell people about non-monogamy, the first thing they always ask me is, well, then why get married? It's the very first question I will always hear all the time. Why get married? And I was like, exactly. That's the same shit I'm asking y'all. when you talk about you found the person you loved and be like, I want to be with them for the rest of my life. Why get married? There is a subtle question that you have to answer before you're ready for a relationship. And the question is, who are you in the next 20 years? What does life really look like for you? But your answer cannot have anything to do with your children, your spouse, your career, or your family. Those 4 things have to be etched out of your answer. And so a lot of people find it hard to come up with that answer because they haven't thought past that. They haven't. A
lot of people don't even approach life from the perspective of happiness and pleasure. Like, in 20 years, the only thing I want to feel is I want to feel fulfilled in my purpose. I want to feel like I've impacted people's lives. I've helped people. Right. Like, I want to be able to say, like, you know what? I'm good. Like, I'm good with that. And that has nothing to do with, you know what I'm saying? People, like, it has nothing to do with other people. It's just like and I felt like this for a very long time. Like, people say, like, oh, well, what are your goals? To make an impact. That's it. Like, I want to make an impact on people's lives. Anytime someone says, like, yo, what you told me made me look at life differently. Oh yeah.
And so even then, that will make finding relationships easier for you than other people. Yeah. Because when you think about that and you talk about the impact that you want to leave on people's lives, right? It lets you know that, for one, your partner will have to be someone who is content with not being the best person in the relationship. And some people don't have that. If you're saying that you want to leave an impact, but you start dating people that don't have that mindset, you're already going to be the best person out of that relationship. You're going to be the one that everyone talk about. So then therefore, can you find you a partner that's not jealous-hearted, that's not in the mindset of what, you get what I'm saying?
And I've talked about that before on my show. I know that it takes a very special person to be in my life, to be around me, whether it be a primary partner or any type, like in any capacity. I understand that because I've dealt with men that were very jealous hearted, that I'm always in the spotlight. I don't have to even say anything when I enter the room. The energy just gravitates towards me. And I was in a relationship with someone that it wasn't until like a couple years into it and I really started to think about it. I'm like, you're jealous of me. Like, that's what it is. And it's like, to be in a relationship with someone that, like, you know, you say you love me, but you're really jealous is insane to me.
It is insane, because how do you be jealous of the person you love?
Yeah, like, it was to the point where literally anytime, again, I was an event curator before I became a podcaster, a sex coach, all of these things. I did events. And anytime I would do events and he would show up, he would ruin it. Oh. Like, he would intentionally do things to sabotage and upset me. Like, he would do things to upset me. Like, he would say things like, oh, have you ever dealt with anybody at these parties or what have you?
Insecurity popping up.
Yeah, like, you're doing things. And then, like, and this is the same guy. So if you've been listening to PrHOEvocative, y'all know about my ex that used to start an argument every time we went on vacation. Oh. When I tell you, we was in Cancun. I'm thinking we having the time of our lives. I get super drunk. It's 2 p.m. I'm on the side of the pool. He picks me up, takes me to the room. He asks me, what's the passcode to your phone? 1121. Like, I'm not thinking about it type shit because I don't have nothing to hide anyway. I wake up to him throwing stuff across the room, acting erratically. He packing up his bag. Where you finna go? We leave tomorrow. Like, what are you doing? Like, it was all for theatrics because he was, what I found out later is that he's actually a narcissist. And so not only was he jealous of me and he was insecure and just all of these other things that he couldn't manage within himself because he knew he wasn't good enough for me. He knew that he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. But again, me being someone where it's like, no, I love you. I'm holding on to it. But it's like, holding on to him was the worst thing I could have done because it wasn't until I let him go that I found podcasting. I found myself sexually. I figured out what it was that I wanted to do with myself. And again, I've said this multiple times. I appreciate all of the bullshit he put me through. I appreciate it.
It taught you.
It taught me so much about what I would never accept from somebody. Because if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have known what it feels like to have a partner that is jealous of you, like deeply jealous, to the point where it's like, okay, you see, you take me places and then people like me and gravitate towards me, and now you don't want to take me anywhere anymore. Like, it was real bad.
I had a client like that. I would the one thing that I say is important is to have something called nonverbal questions. Once you have your answer, you say you'll have a large impact in the future, right? And so let's say, for instance, you also say, okay, well, based on all of my life plans in the future, I'll be living in Bali, right? Let's just say, for instance, that's the 20-year goal, to live in Bali. And so you're going to have nonverbal questions to ensure that the people that you're dating fits these same goals.
Right.
And so if you know you're going to be in Bali, you know going to be all these other places, and you realize how much money this is going to cost, eventually you realize that it means that you have to have a successful marriage in order to achieve this goal. In order to be successful, though, you have to be comfortable with failing, because everybody who doesn't like to fail aren't good at being successful, right? And so one of my nonverbal questions.
That's one. You heard what I said.
Yes.
I don't fail. I learn or I win.
Yes.
So I've never been somebody. And again, I attribute that to my Scorpio rebirth quality. Like, if I fail, guess what? I'm gonna pick myself up and I'm gonna turn into somebody new tomorrow and figure that shit out.
And so the nonverbal question is, how do you deal with failure? The person that you're dating.
Yeah.
And so it's not a term of you asking them, because asking only gonna get words that they curated themselves.
Exactly. You gonna lie to me. Like, you gonna tell me what you think I want to hear.
And so then instead, let me watch you fail at something. And so if I don't see you fail in the next 6 months of us talking, that tells me two things. One, if you, let's say, for instance, oh, well, this person didn't fail because everything that they tried, they succeeded at, right?
You're not taking big enough risks.
Boom. And at that point, that means you're not going to be able to get there, right?
You're not going to take no real risk. Like, and I'm a risky ass motherfucker. Like,
Same.
I'm somebody that...
Same.
I'm risky.
Same.
Again, I'm an experimentalist. And what I said earlier, I said a lot of times your personality... Actually, that's the Patreon content. My bad, y'all. A lot of your personality kind of shines through in the things that you do.
Yes.
So if you someone that take risk and then you see these big rewards, it's like, look, I'm cool. Like, I know that I strongly believe that the universe conspires for my will. So whatever I want, I'm going to receive. Like, it's so many times that I would just say something. I'm like, yo, this is what I'm going to do. And I didn't have a plan necessarily behind it, but I said, I don't know. I had a dream. It told me that this is what's going to happen. And a year, 2 years down the line, falls in my lap.
And so that's why it becomes complicated with relationships. Because if people don't know what they want, that they want to have fall in their lap, how can you then know the partner you need to help you get that? And so a lot of people are going blind. Yeah. And so there's nonverbal questions you need if you want a serious, not ethical, non-monogamous relationship. One of them is, do you love yourself? I can't ask you that question, but I need to see how you treat yourself. Yeah. I need to see how you treat your friends and your family. Because that's going to tell me everything.
Huge. Sidebar. I find it very problematic when women want to see men treat women badly or mean. Yeah. Like, you have a problem when men buy their platonic female friend flowers or do nice things for them, and it's like, oh, well, you think that there has to be some sexual motive behind it. And I'm like, because I have a lot of guy friends, and sometimes they just do stuff for me, and I'm super appreciative. I also do random stuff for them. Like, I might, cook a meal or say like, yo, what you doing? You good? Like, what have you? Because that's what friendship is about. Yes. But I've had situations where literally my guy friends would say like, yeah, the girl I was talking to, like, we got into it because she got upset because I, came over and mowed your lawn or like, and it's like, yo, like, why do you have
But here's the thing though. What is he doing for her? Because
the same shit.
But do you know that? And I only say that.
No, and I've asked. I will ask. Like, for example, if, somebody buys me flowers and then they would tell me like, oh, my, the girl I was dealing with. And again, y'all not in a relationship, y'all just dating, but she has a problem with the fact that I did that for you. And it's like, here's the thing, it's not random flowers. I made a career milestone or some shit like that. So it's like, I'm going to give Jody her flowers type shit, but you have a problem with that. That's your ego getting in the way. It has nothing to do with anything, because if he's bought you flowers before, and he's buying you random flowers, it's not like somebody giving me flowers because it's
that's
Tuesday.
Different. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, all right, cool. I do something for my career, and my friend surprised me with something, but it's like, oh, you must like her, you must this, must that. And it's like, yo, it really be straight platonic, no type of anything there.
I only say that because I've learned as men that we can be our own worst enemy in relationships. So like I have these rules in a relationship where I can't take no one else out on a date unless I've taken my woman out 4 times. And so that way, because that forces me to make sure I don't forget her.
Yeah.
Like I can't go make a dick appointment and show up at someone's house if I haven't been regularly giving my woman dick herself. Right? And so when you run into situations where you're like, oh, this person got mad because I did something for you, sometimes I always question it because how often are you doing what you're supposed to be doing?
But that was a very like vanilla situation because these people aren't in the lifestyle. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, and when we talking lifestyle, especially lifestyle, because that's one of the things that mess men up the most is that they always forget their woman because they get too excited because there's too much tail out there.
Yeah, and that's one thing where even with me, because again, I'm super open. I have no I'm not. Other women don't intimidate me because I know what I bring. I know what I got going on. I'm solid. I'm solid, right? So it's not an issue of other women. It becomes an issue if my needs are not met, though, because now you wilding. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you wilding.
So you ain't taking care of me? What's going on?
Like, what the, like, no. You think you finna, like, no. Like, when I'm straight, okay, cool. But if I'm not straight, we had a problem. And I have
sense.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I remember me and my partner, our first times really having threesomes. It was so, before me, she's never been in a threesome, never been in a relationship with women, never been sexual with women. So it was her first experience after me.
I'm pretty sure that was a lot of learning, a lot of negotiating boundaries over and over again, a lot of talks.
What's so interesting is she's more open than I assumed she would be when I first met her. And so the only thing that was hard was her getting out of her head of thinking she's not good.
Yeah.
But once she get out of that, it's not really a bad issue. Yeah. But
I seen your partner, she fine.
Fine as fuck. So one day we go to Mexico. This woman walking around in all pineapple gear, pineapple hat, pineapple shoes, pineapple everything, right? And so we invited her. We have our little fun, and my wife comes to me, and and this is one thing that I appreciate the most is the fact that we have created so much of a safe place that if she has an issue, she can bring it to me immediately.
Yeah.
And so afterwards, she was like, "Hey, just to let you know, I don't think we're gonna be having no more threesomes together." And I was like, oh no, what happened? What'd I do? She was like, you kind of gave her more attention than me, and that's not how this works. And this is how I'd rather have it. And so we talked about it. I was like, all right, I hear you completely. I'll make sure I work on it for the next time. Yeah. Next time, did exactly what she said. And she was like, okay, great. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Because, listen, and the one important thing in open relationships is constant communications. Me and my partner, we have every 3 months where we meet up and ask, how is your happiness? How am I treating your happiness? Am I doing anything wrong that we need to work on? How is the sex? What things can I improve upon on sex? Do you still feel like this relationship is beneficial for the end goal that we're accomplishing in the future? What things would you like to accomplish in the future? And then any miscellaneous things that we want to include. But we practice that every 3 months.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So back when I was with my ex, and I'm glad I didn't do this with his ass, but I'll definitely incorporate it into future situations that I take seriously. But I thought about that, like having check-ins consistently to, all right, cool, how are things going, whatever. Again, fast forward, I know that he would have never been the person that I should have been having these conversations with, but it would have made for good practice.
And the conversations would have taught you, though, if the person is someone you should have been with anyway.
Yeah.
Because the one thing about relationships, I tell people, you got to treat a relationship like a job. Because you're talking about getting promoted, which is becoming partner. You're talking about being partner, like being partner with this person.
Yeah.
And when you work, you check in with your boss every 3 months to every 6 months to talk about your raise, how you going to get that raise. If you want to get promoted, what do you need to do? And what I need to see out of you in order for you to keep working this job.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people do, though, is we get into a relationship.
We get complacent.
And we put the shit on autopilot. And we just say, well, as long as I can tolerate you, then that should be fine. And then ambiguity comes into play.
Yeah.
Because when we're not talking, ambiguity is a silent killer for all relationships. And so, especially for people who want open relationships, ethical non-monogamy, you have to talk. You have to communicate. It's so important. You have to know each other. Just like my partner, she could come to me and tell me about her dating experiences with another man. And we was having that conversation in a group of our friends, and most of the men was like, no way in hell can my woman come to me and just have a whole conversation.
But honestly, again, when you get into, when people, when people that, that want this romanticized idea of what monogamy is to begin with, how many times have we heard people say, marry your best friend? If you want me to marry my best friend, I should be able to talk to you about any and everything.
Yes.
Like, you guys want to talk about love that's unconditional, but you're not applying it unconditionally.
Yeah.
It's only under the condition that you're doing what I think you should be doing.
As long as you don't make me uncomfortable, I'm here for you to
yeah,
talk
like,
to me
I
about
love
it.
you through it all, as long as you don't, tell me about things that I don't want to hear. You don't do things that I don't want to see. Like, excuse me? Like,
and that's why I say, when I run into couples who their rule is, you could just do it, just don't tell me.
don't ask, don't tell.
You're not ready for this.
Yeah.
You're not ready for this. Because what if you do go through a very traumatic experience with someone else?
And now you can't talk about it because that was,
that would be terrible.
Yeah, and you can't go back on that agreement because you went through something traumatic, because now you're putting your partner in a situation that they didn't ask to be in because y'all agreed to this other condition.
Yeah.
And they might not know how to support you through that, and then it'll probably come to an end anyway.
Yes, which leads to the number one thing. Therapy, 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 therapy. If you're going to survive in this relationship, any relationship, you need a therapist. But for this one, especially if you know you can't talk to your partner, get you a therapist. Find someone else that you can talk to. Because people come to me and they come to me with certain situations, and I can help as a love coach, but most of the time when I start listening to it and I be like, this sounds like some past trauma, you're gonna have to take that to your therapist.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff we can't help with.
Yeah.
Even as a coach. My goal, my job as a coach, and especially as a lifestyle coach, is to help you learn how to understand what type of relationship you truly want, and then to be happy with that. Yeah. But if your past is the reason why you can't see yourself getting to your future, at that point, you need to talk to a therapist.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I definitely appreciate where I am mentally in my life, because I think about that all the time. Like, what type of partner do you see yourself with? What type of partner or partners? Like, what do you want, right? I want a primary partner. I want someone where it's like, all right, cool. You are, I enjoy this. We come to each other. However, we do participate and play with other people occasionally.
So what would be your overall, would you have a tribe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm very tribal. I'm very tribal because I am someone that likes consistency, but I like excitement as well. So someone will probably have to, audition to be a part of the tribe to begin with.
For those of you who don't know what a tribe is just multiple people, about more than 5.
Yeah, but then they unit. Only had their community. They have sex with each other. Like it's
they're not out with other people and just being like a community of people. We're going to community of fucking everybody else. It's a community of people and they're only with each other. Yeah, and it's solidified.
I could see myself being part of a tribe.
Okay.
I like consistency. I like going to so for example, I've played with a couple before. I would consistently play with them. I'm not out here trying to have threesomes with any and everybody. I'm cool on that.
Yeah.
I like developing.
Because you like the intimacy of it, right?
I like the intimacy of it.
Yeah.
And again, the excitement of like a new person, like it's different with men and women, right? Because women are more likely to be disappointed than men when it comes to our sexual satisfaction.
Women
So
don't even come as much anyway, right?
Yes.
What is that, like 20%?
Yeah, only 20%. Like it's so for me, if I know I enjoy one particular guy, I'm cool with exploring a lot of different things with him and then bringing in other females like to occasionally play. But then again,
Just
these are like,
primary.
like I want to be able to like, all right, cool, we gonna call 1, 2, or 3. And that's 1, 2, or 3. Like I like the consistency of that, especially when it comes to making women comfortable as well with me, because I'm like, yo, if you see me calling, you know what I want.
Yes.
And we've built that rapport. Like I don't want to have to. I got to get to know what's going on over here. Like, and then the vibe is off. I don't like the vibe. Like it's a lot that comes with it. And then again, when you having sex with somebody, you have to know their boundaries. So it's a constant, well, what are your boundaries? Well, what are your boundaries?
You got to keep teaching people there's so many new people.
Right. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, I thought you were a vibe, but I don't like how you eat my pussy. Now what do we talk? Like, what's going on here? So, again, as much of an experimentalist as I am, I know I'm not someone that's going to be at play parties all the time fucking people just to be fucking. Like, I'm cool on that because I'm super big on quality experiences.
Yes.
I'm an exhibitionist. That doesn't mean that every time I go out,
it's got to be someone new.
Yeah,
right?
It doesn't have to be. Like, I like experiences, and I like you can create amazing experiences, and you could still experiment within like whatever feels comfortable for you.
That's actually since me and my partner, we host parties, right? So in the very beginning, we talked about there not being any black spaces, and so we created a black space.
Right.
Like our parties can range from like 60 to 180 people, all of our people.
Right.
Okay. And so people be like, we never see y'all play at y'all parties. Why don't you and your wife play? And I keep telling people, well, for one, I don't host parties just to play. Like if anybody's hosting parties and their primary focus is I want to play, they're not going to be hosting parties for long. It's not going to last long.
Again, I was curating events before I even got into this. So, and I told you before, one of my goals is to get into play parties. But again, if you are an event curator, you know that you can't host and enjoy at the same time. There's no,
it makes no sense.
You can't.
You know, because you're too busy, something happening, and adults act like children the moment they get alcohol in their system. And now you're a babysitter. Yeah. And they be like, why don't you play? Because the moment I play, I'm going to get a, Torre, we need you to come help out. Somebody fell down the stairs. Okay, cool. Let me go handle this for a minute.
Yeah.
But we're voyeurs. We don't, if we play, we're more of the, we'll get your phone number. We'll
play later. Yeah.
We'll see you a little later. Or let's talk to you. We'll see you at different places. And that's like, the one thing that the office is doing is that's why we have poly night. That's why we have all these different things, because we're trying to destigmatize it and take the idea of people thinking that, well, just because we're swingers, that all we're about is sex and having sex. And I tell people, I was like, I have a shitload of freedom, but just because I have a shitload of freedom doesn't mean that I want to take it. I'm very picky. I'm a toxic person. I like making love without being in love. I can't do that to everybody. Even when me and my wife started first having sex, the first question she asked me was, so do you do this to everybody? It's like, no, I'm very picky. I can't. And if I can't do it, I just don't want to fuck them. Yeah. Because why waste my time with having bad sex?
Yeah.
So at that point,
also aftercare comes into, a lot of people don't engage in aftercare conversations. And that's something that I'm hoping to normalize more on PrHOEvocative, because oftentimes people just have sex and then they don't talk about it later. You don't talk about like what the experience was like, if anything could have, been changed. Was there anything that made you feel uncomfortable? We're not having those conversations.
Nope. And when we do, it gets weird. I had a client who was talking to this guy after sex, and he was like, yeah, you love that, huh? Yeah, you want to do it again. And she was like, well, I mean, it's not that I didn't love it, but these are the things that I would want you to do. So if you want us to do it again.
She didn't love it.
She was trying to be nice,
yeah,
right?
She was.
And so she tells him, she's like, I want you to do A, B, C, D, and E, right? And so he's like, oh, okay. And so she was like, so, all right, cool. And he was like, well, you want to do it again? She was like, are you going to do A through E? And he was like, well, my back hurt right now. If we can try that again later. And so she walked out. And she said she felt bad for walking out because rejection, we all fear rejection. And most people think that we fear to be rejected. But I think we fear rejecting other people more than we fear being rejected, because who wants to be the person that people hate the most, right? And so she felt bad for it. But after we had a conversation, I was like, why would you waste your time having bad sex? That makes no sense. Aftercare is needed for that.
But that's like a female thing, right? Like it's like a woman thing, because we have been so socially conditioned to not enjoy sex that we feel bad when we prioritize our enjoyment. Like we feel guilty because we have been conditioned not to enjoy it. Sex is not for us to enjoy. If you enjoy sex, you're a witch and you getting burnt at the stake and you're into some weird voodoo shit, because how do you know how to squirt? Like literally the clitoral structure was not fully discovered until the 90s. Man literally went to the moon first. So this idea of female sexuality, even though we've made some
advancements, not
enough, nowhere near enough.
When I go to parties, I always have a bag with toys in it, and so sometimes someone looks and be like, what's in the bag? And I'm like, my toys. And I always have someone that be like, why do you have toys with you? You at a party.
Why don't you?
That's what I'd be like. You don't use toys, but there's a lot of men who don't use toys for different reasons. I run into men who don't use toys because it's intimidating. Other men don't use toys because they think it's gay to hold another penis in their hand,
or any type of phallic, anything. So guys, like they don't care if it's purple, pink. They don't want to look. Now, they don't want to hold any penetrable.
But I will say, there's nothing weirder than putting a condom on a lifelike dick and then lubing it up to use it on your woman. There's nothing weirder than that as a man, because like you just doing this and now you got to get the lube out and just.
I look like you jacking off another dick.
Because like I caught myself doing it, and I'm like even using my finger to get it all in the crevices, and I'm like, all right, wait a minute, it's a little too weird. I was like, whatever, we using it, we doing what we do it for, right?
Yeah.
So,
but that's your ego too. Like that's the ego. Like because of how we, men and women have been conditioned to view sex. Any man, and I talked about this on a previous episode, any man that really explores their sexuality, like really explores it and expands it, they're looked at as gay. Like, oh, you doing this, that's gay. Everything is gay. Black men can't do nothing without being called gay, first of all.
That's true.
So definitely if you someone that's walking around with toys, they like, okay, this is a gay ass Santa Claus. Cause what is you doing? Like, yeah. And it's like, it's so limiting. Sex is so limiting for Black bodies, but it's even more limiting for Black men, because again, men can't openly say like, well, yeah, I like to get my ass ate, without a motherfucker saying like, if you want somebody to lick your ass, you want somebody to.
That's where his G spot is, right?
Exactly. So. Yeah. Like I was just talking to somebody about that as well, because again, I like to know your boundaries. But I also want to please you in a way that is comfortable. If you tell me, I've never eaten man butt, never done it. But I am a Gucci gobbler. I'm very much a Gucci gobbler. So I am going behind those nuts. And if you are uncomfortable with me going behind those nuts, we probably shouldn't even have sex. Because I feel like the reason that you're uncomfortable with that is because you have some limiting beliefs. Are your beliefs limiting or liberating? My beliefs are liberating.
I was at a party before, and I was giving this girl some head. And I accidentally had my ass up while I was giving her some head, right? And so, like, just in it, legs up, my ass is out. And so I hear this girl come in, because this other woman next to me, and her ass is also out, because she's eating some pussy. We having a pussy eating contest on the bed right now, right? And so I hear this girl in the back, and she like, oh, hell yeah, there's some nice ass in here today. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, well, yeah, that makes sense, because this woman next to me got a really nice ass, right? And so I hear her get closer to us, and once again, both our asses out in there, we eating pussy, the two girls laying in the bed moaning, oh, yes, all that type of shit. And so I hear her slap the woman next to me. And she was like, yeah, that's a nice ass there. And so I'm like, all right, cool. The next thing you know, I'm like, what the fuck is that? Which, by the way, people, if you're at a lifestyle party, ask
first of all, you're supposed to
before you touch someone.
Yes,
Okay?
that's the problem. People assume
thing, right?
that you can just
because
touch.
you see some ass, you think you could touch. No. You got to ask for permission. And so at that point, I was so into eating that I didn't care, because this person that I was messing with at that time, I've been trying to flirt with her for like a year now. And so she had just given me the go ahead, and I'm just like, all right, yeah, fuck it. It is what it is, right? And so then I feel hands on my thighs down here, okay? So at that point, I'm like, fuck she doing back there? And then all of a sudden, I feel this really wet touch to my asshole. Like at that moment, the moment that the hands went to the thighs, I felt this warm, wet touch to my asshole. And at that moment, my leg was like a horse and just kicked back.
You donkey kicked her?
I did kick the fuck out of her. And I feel so bad about that because it stopped the whole show at that moment.
But we have to normalize.
Ask first.
We have to normalize consent as it applies to women. I'm going to have a totally different episode about that, because I was literally just having a conversation with, I went on the boat the other night and I was having a conversation with my Uber driver, because there was a woman. Oftentimes women think they are exempt from having to ask for consent.
For other women?
Like, just because you're a woman don't mean that you can come up to me and grope my titties and grab my ass. And I like, no, like the same way I'm like this to a dude, I can be like this to you, just like, and that's a problem.
Women's worse than us.
They're
worse than us.
Yeah, they are, especially when it comes to even being rejected. Like, they're like, oh my, what, like, so now I'm the bad person because you can't even slap my ass and I didn't want my ass to be slapped. Like, women think, and then even like when it comes to, you know, a man-woman thing. When a woman makes advances on a man and he rejects, oh, you must be gay. Oh, you must be this. And that is no different than when a man makes an advance towards a woman and he like, ain't nobody want to fuck with you anyways, whatever. It's the exact same type of energy.
It is. It definitely is. So I kicked her on accident. She paused. We all paused because I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Luckily, I didn't kick her in the face though. I kicked her in the titty. Her titties was really close to my foot. So I kicked my foot just leaned back. And she was like, you didn't like that? I was like, no. Baby.
And again, she doesn't know your boundaries. Like, you don't know what's, like, just assuming that somebody is going to like some shit is kind of insane. Like, it's one way, it's a way to go about consent in a very, like, let's ease into this way.
Yeah, but out of all the things to do without consent, that's the
going into a already. First of all, everybody's already playing. So even trying to join a situation where everyone is already playing with each other is kind of.
But that is, unless
you already having sex with everybody that is a part of this, like, you don't know these people, and then you think you just finna put your face in some ass. That's like. That's kind of one of the biggest problems that we find in lifestyle culture, is because, like, okay, I'm sure you probably heard this before, when you go to a lifestyle party and somebody want to do something freaky and you tell them that that's not what you're here for, and the first thing they do is look at you and like, then what the fuck you come here for? And it's like, I can come here for other shit. I came here for the hot wings.
Yeah, like I came for something else. I did not come for that.
I came to watch y'all fuck and eat my hot wings in the corner, like, because that's what I want to do.
What we did is we created a color system now.
Yeah.
We have blue, green, and red. And so if you walk into a room and it's all red, it means that you can only watch. You can't touch. You can't approach. You can't ask no questions. You can't talk. You're just there to watch. If you go into a green room, it means you have to ask for permission first before you can even touch. So you can talk, but you have to ask for permission and be like, hey, is it okay if I rub your legs? Is it okay if I give you a massage while he's eating your pussy? You know, shit like that, right? And so then we have And so then we have a blue room. And so in the blue room, I can touch you. But if I want to do anything sexual, I have to ask for permission.
Right.
And so those are for all different levels of exhibitionists and all different levels of voyeurs.
Right.
There's some people who just want to be seen, but they don't want you to interrupt them. They just want to be seen. Yeah. I know a couple who they'll find a girl and they be like, all right, let's go have some fun. Let's let them watch the show. But if somebody else tried to join in, even another woman, they're going to be like, nah. We chose her.
To
exactly
facts,
right.
Facts.
So you have those spaces, and then for the green you have those spaces because some people like, I mean, you could touch me, but it depends on how you look.
Yeah.
But then for the blue, it's more for the people who's like, you know why I'm here. I know why I'm here.
Yeah.
We're here to all do the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's always been a lack of education in the lifestyle. There's always been a lack of education, especially in the Black communities, because sex has been such a taboo. Yeah. The idea of relationships, trying to get into a relationship after 26 is a taboo in the Black family because they like, so you ain't having no kids yet, you ain't doing this yet. Mm-hmm. What the fuck are you doing, right?
Yeah.
And so the Office ENT, we started especially within our culture for our people because we wanted to give our people a safe place to learn, to ask questions, and not feel bad about it. Like I tell people, when you see me at a party, I'm not there to play, I'm there to help you. Yeah. I have people who come to me and they be like, I seen this couple, I really want them, but I don't know how to approach them. I'm like, well, who is it? They'll point them out and I say, okay, well, this is what you should do. Do it this way, that way. Usually they go, then they get to have fun because they go meet people because you miss that education aspect, the coaching aspect of having someone there to kind of help you. Right. We'll do poly night. We'll be at the bar. Yeah. I tell people, if you're afraid to talk to people, come to me. I'll help you. Yeah. I've helped people who have that problem of talking to people because most of us, the only reason why we single because we lazy. I tell people all the time because it is too easy to be in a relationship in this world. It's way too easy. It's way too easy. If you are single, you are lazy because it takes work, and either you're going to put forth that work or you're going to work on something else. But if you really wanted a relationship, you could put in that work to find what you're looking for. Now, for you may have to date 600 people to
I was just gonna say,
you know?
I was gonna say, look, we had the whole conversation earlier. Yeah. We know that it's not easy for me to get in a relationship.
But once again,
I will say this.
That take work, right?
I will say this. I've been fortunate enough to meet amazing men and women that I could, but I see my primary partner as being a man. I see my secondary, as being a woman. But I've run into maybe 2 men, 3 max in my life where I was like, I could see you being like a primary partner and then us having like a nice little fun something going on here where we can actually explore together and I can tell and really be honest with you.
I've only met 1.
Yeah. And even though I'm saying maybe 3, it's really a 1, maybe 2. It's really closer to 1, maybe 2.
I've only met 1. I proposed to her when I found out.
Yeah, period. I love that.
The moment I seen it, I was like, wait. And it'd be so funny because remember I told you every 3 months we have our check-ins, right? Yeah. And so she always asked me, is there anything that you need me to work on or change or do better to help this relationship be better? And every time my answer would be the same. Absolutely nothing. And she'll have a long list for me because you need me to work on? Yeah, I need you to stop farting near me. I need you to stop doing this. I need you to stop doing this.
Farting is crazy.
This. I tell her,
she ain't got no toilet play fetish.
Listen, you don't. I don't know if you love me until you fart near me. That's how I know. Because if you that comfortable to fart near me, I know it's real at that moment. Oh my God. But every time I told her, no, absolutely nothing. Because out of all the people that I've dated, out of all the people I've met, she has been the only person I met that have met and matched all the things that I could say, fuck yes, fuck yes, fuck yes.
I love that.
And so once I found that, I was like, okay, proposed on April Fool's Day. Because I was like, this going to happen.
April Fool's Day is crazy.
Yes. Oh, yes.
April Fool's Day is crazy. But I will say, again, that's tough for someone who has this, of course, I'm talking about me, someone who has this very liberating way of approaching life. I need someone that is confident, overly confident, because I'm not going to stop podcasting. I'm not gonna stop being a sex coach. I'm not gonna stop teaching. I'm not gonna stop doing these freaky ass classes. It's actually gonna get freakier. I'm trying to get more into like the play world and stuff like that. Like things are only going to continue to expand.
It's not gonna be the ones who claim they want you as a relationship. It's gonna be the ones that claim they want you as a friend. There's a big difference in the way that you chase. And when a person comes to you, because here's the thing, okay? And no one never thinks how fucked up this is. But how do I truly know I want a relationship with you if I only known you for a month? Especially if I really know what I want in the future. It's going to take some time.
Yeah.
But if the very first time that we start talking and all I'm talking about is I want you as my woman, my one and only, I'll do all this other shit.
Yeah.
At this point, I've only got my mind stuck on one thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not really giving the enough time needed to first learn how to just be your friend.
I agree.
But the ones that's your friends first, the ones that is just like, I'm here, the ones that I'll be here no matter what, don't matter, and like they stay a friend, those are the ones that you'll find and say, okay, you can fit this.
That said, I still stand by what I just said in terms of there literally only being one person, maybe two, where the maybe person is the person that said I was the most interesting woman that he ever met. Only because, again, like I've known him for half my life, but the other person, he's someone that we have amazing sex. We can talk to each other about any and everything, and we are not in an exclusive relationship because we're amazing friends. But yeah, he's that's somebody that I would consider like some life partnership with.
See? And that makes sense because how we find our partner has to change. Because and here's the one thing, and people listen to me when I say this. If you're looking for a non-monogamous relationship, stop looking for both partners at the same time. It makes no sense. It takes forever for you to find your first partner. And then you have people out here who be like there's this one guy hit me up. He was like, I need your services. I need to find what I'm looking for, ethical non-monogamous relationship. I said, what are you looking for? He's like, I want 2 women. I was like, all right, well then let's start working on finding the first one. He's like, no, I just want to find like both of them right now.
What you in a rush for? You finna dye them out?
Like,
oh, what's going on here?
So many questions. And so then we start going through the process, and I finally convinced him. I said, just focus on one. Right. And so he finds his one, and within the first 2 weeks, now he's like, all right, well, I got the one. We've been talking for 3 months. We're in a relationship. Now I can go find the second one. Sir, you can't find your second one for like a year. Like you need a year at least.
Yeah.
Before you find number 2.
Also, again, when it comes to developing these relationships with different people, it ain't no way in hell that you are 100% satisfying your primary partner in such a short amount of time that you feel like you can go out and you ready for the second one. So that's first of all.
Yes.
But second of all, you don't want a situation where your primary and your secondary partner are not getting along.
And they don't even know each other.
And they don't know each other because so basically what you want to outwardly, you want to cheat but ethically. That's what you want to do. You don't want to be ethically non-monogamous. You want to be what? You want to cheat but have the veil of polyamory, which is nothing but manipulation at best.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And when it comes to people being in these multiple relationships, the one thing I tell fellas, if you don't want your women to fuck other men, right? And if you like, I want 2 women, but they can't fuck other men, you got to make at least $300,000 a year.
And you got to my sex drive is very high.
And I agree with you. You got to be up there.
Look, because guess what? If you think I'm gonna primarily masturbate and supplement with you, you got me fucked up. I want to supplement with masturbation. I like dick, and I like a body attached to the dick. I like I want to scratch on back. I'm not finna rad no fucking dilly because you then gave all the dick to the other chick. Like, I'm straight on that.
Yeah. And for me, I tell people it's a lot of work. You talking about being with 2 people and telling them that they can have no other man, that they can only have you. You are now responsible for everything, sexually, emotionally, trauma-wise, everything.
Yeah.
And if you can't,
better have a bandwidth.
A lot of it. A lot of it. And a lot of people are not ready for what they're looking for, which is cute. And so that's why,
like, oh, that's so cute.
It's cute. And that's why I tell people,
Dumbass.
listen, just be swingers for the very beginning of your journey.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
Like, don't try to say, okay, let's have a polyamorous relationship when you don't know what's going on. Don't rush into an ethical non-monogamous relationship.
I got a homie that was in a throuple. He was like, I'm never doing that shit again. He said, imagine you sleep and you tired, you exhausted, but both your girlfriends was just out drinking. They both come home drunk trying to get some dick. And
and that's your fault. Because you told them you the only person they can go to. Because you came home drunk. Listen, y'all better call Phil ass, because y'all know I am tired. Phil is at home. He is not working today. Go see Phil.
That is hilarious.
Why are you coming home to me? just don't. That's why I also would like a tribe.
Yeah.
I've seen maybe 2 couples and probably 2 single women on a tribe. But I want like a 13-acre farm and different homes on the farm so that we could have enough space. Because I still want my own home. Like, people like, you want to live with your wife? I love my wife. Love her. She's amazing. But do we want to be in the same house with each other every day and let me get on her nerves all the time? No, go get your own house. Yeah. Well, because we know that, and she also feels the same way. Because she's like, yeah, I don't like the idea of you having your own basement.
I've never lived with a man.
No?
Yeah, that I was in a relationship with. I've never lived with a man I was in a relationship with. And I didn't think about that until more recently. I was like, I was in long relationships with people and we had our separate spaces. So I would like to try on living with someone for size just to see if I'm capable of doing it. But it's interesting because I've had long-term relationships, but we've never just like, all right, cool, it's just us living together consistently for years. No, I don't.
Before me and my woman moved together, she's never lived with another person before. And so I told her, I was like, I'm gonna need you to live on your own first for like at least a whole year.
I've always lived on my own. So I moved out when I was 19. So that's what I'm saying. Like, as someone who has lived by themselves and now I'm a mom, so it's like, all right, like now I got that's different. But in terms of like living
with someone,
with a man, and we're to like, and I'm gonna say like anything longer than the month, because anything under a month don't really count. No. And I've only experienced under a month. So I've never.
Did you kick the ass out because they got on your nerves? See, because what we did
this is what happened. So I know I made that face, and I know people are gonna assume, but it wasn't me kicking him out. It was us breaking up and me nicely packing your things so that you can take them with you, because we're broke up now.
Yeah, because you got fed up.
In 3 weeks.
Yeah, that makes sense. What we did was we got a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms because it was our first time having, because I also never lived with someone, but it was probably the longest was 3 months. And I actually used to do experiments where I used to let people live with me because I was curious on how to prepare for that when I have a wife in the future. So I did that when I was younger, and I realized what I needed.
What's crazy, because I've lived with like I've had guy friends and like my brothers and stuff like me live with me, so I know what it's like to live with a man. Just
the partner aspect.
It's just literal. Like, I can't make this up. Like, I've had guys that were no sexual relationship there living with me, and I have that. I'm very maternal instantly. Like, but that's why I'm like, I didn't always want to live with a man, because I'm like, ooh, we gonna move in together, and I gotta like, I'm kind of obligated to do these things. Versus like, now mind you, I'm gonna do it naturally. I'm gonna do it naturally. However, I don't want you to take what I do naturally for granted, because that is what ended up happening within those 3 weeks of me moving in with, the partner that we ended up breaking up, because I'm like, well, both of us just worked long days. If I cook, can you do the dishes? And him like looking at me crazy, like, I can't ask you to do the dishes. And then I gotta pick up your dirty ass, funky ass socks behind you, and I'm not like, no, and that's what kind of turned me off from the idea of living with people, living with men in a partner dynamic, because oftentimes guy takes what you do for granted. Like, you take it for granted the fact that I cook all the meals, to the point where if I run to the gym in the morning, you waiting on me to come back to cook for you. Like, that's insane to me. Like, you've been up. Like, you've been up for a couple hours.
That's disrespectful though.
And that's what it is. And it's like, when I start to experience that, I'm like,
time to go.
No, I can't do this. I can't do it. Because again, I'm naturally going to do this. But guess what? The man that I didn't have to ask to do the dishes, the man that I didn't have to say like, oh, well, damn, my shorty just went to the gym, I'm going to have her smoothie ready when she come home type shit. That's the person where I'm like, let me put my hand in a fucking ponytail. I'm gonna suck some dick. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, stuff like that is what turns me on when it comes to the thing. Like, anything that I don't have to ask for from a man, I'm instantly like, what can I do for you? Because I'm an acts of service girl. Like, I'm very, when it comes to servitude, like, that's me. Like, I want to serve. What do you need? What do you want? I want to serve you. So because I'm like that, I cannot be in a situation where I feel like, am I your maid?
Yeah, can't have that.
Yeah.
Can't have that. I got my wife that way though, because when we first met, I kept cooking. I'm a vegan, so I love to cook. And so when we first met, I kept cooking. And she was like, are you just doing this because you like me? I was like, no, I love to cook, so I'm always cook. And that's how I got her in a relationship, because she kept coming over to my house because I kept cooking. She's a better cook out of both of us. But my wife is like, well, if you gonna keep cooking, I'm gonna just keep coming over. It's like, gotcha.
That's cute. That's cute. I will say I can appreciate, because I haven't experienced a lot of men cooking for me. When I do, when it's a situation, or I mean, it's a lot of things where it's like, again, because I'm someone who is an acts of service girl, that's how I show love. That's also how I receive love. So the quickest way, and you motherfuckers listening, better not try this shit. So don't even try it. But the quickest way to get on my radar is for you to do something that I didn't ask you to do. Or to show up for me in a way that I didn't ask you to. Because that's, for me, that's how I receive love. Like, that's what I pay attention to. When a guy...
like, they show up with a briefcase full of money. You didn't ask them to do that, but that's okay. Right?
I mean... I'm not turning away no one. Not gonna hold y'all. But that kind of gives gift giving. What I'm talking about is, I know you ain't ate nothing because you been running around. I'm finna shoot you some bread so you can get some lunch. Like I've had guys do that for me, where it's like, what you doing? And I'm like, running around. Did you eat yet? No. Apple Pay.
Makes sense.
Like, and then them telling me, or get you something to eat right now. Like, you know that there's, like, because I'm running around doing all this stuff, something as simple as that is what I won't forget. Those are the types of things that I don't forget. Or like, all right, cool, I know you ain't had time to get your car washed. I just pull up. I'm finna go get your car detailed. Like, those are the things that I'm like,
thinking of that too.
Those are the things that I'm gonna pay attention to, because I'm like, you're filling in a gap that I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can, there's something there. I'm not saying like, all right, cool, we gotta be soulmates necessarily. However, you're loving me in the way that I actually receive love, and I reciprocate shit like that. So yeah, for me, I know I have to be with somebody that's like, they want to show up for me. Like, regardless of what you see coming out of this, you know that you want to show up for me.
Absolutely. That's a good requirement.
Yeah.
It's a very good requirement.
Yeah. This is an amazing conversation. Do you want to leave the people with anything they need to know in terms of, like, just to wrap up the conversation? What should people, if people are curious about the lifestyle, make sure you're plugging, everything that you got going on, all of that.
All right. So we do have a party next Friday. I'll send you the information.
This Friday or next Friday?
Next Friday.
Next Friday, July.
Yes. We have a party next Friday.
Okay.
We usually host parties every month. month. So as you in the city of Chicago and you're looking for a black space, this lifestyle.
What's the theme?
Look, for next week is going to be Ladies Night, and
Okay.
then next theme after that is Hoochie Daddy Shorts Night.
Okay.
Because we don't like the fact that a lot of lifestyle parties forces women to be the only ones to dress up.
Yeah.
And it's usually pimps and hoes, or
Yeah,
like
for sure.
something where the woman has to dress scandalous and the man could just come in dressed however he want.
Right.
And my wife was like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, ma'am. Whatever
Yeah.
you say, yes, ma'am.
I love that. I can't wait till I get into a position where it's me and my primary partner, and we have so much respect for each other that we are able to just really be like, nah, yes,
Yeah.
whatever you say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She's the reason why The Office is successful, because everything she tells me that she wants out of the lifestyle, because I couldn't see it, I said, all right, then we'll create that.
Yeah.
We'll make that happen for you. Because she was like, why don't nobody like to educate? Don't worry, we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do people do this way? Don't worry, we'll do it. So you looking for something, look up The Office ENT. Also, my coaching for people who's like, how do I get coaching? So coaching usually costs you about maybe $150 to $300 a session. However, there is a link through Bridging Life. If you find us through The Office, if you use your insurance with Bridging Life to get therapy services, you also get coaching as a holistic service. And it's very important, because for anybody that's looking to be successful in this lifestyle, you want a therapist and you want a coach together.
Yeah, I have a whole nother episode coming on the difference between the two, because people like to conflate the terms. You know, even what me and you do is very different. Like,
Yes.
I am a sex coach, a sexologist. I teach about sex, and I'm also a kink educator.
Yes.
You teach and
Love and
coach
relationships.
about
Yes.
how to be ethically non-monogamous, how to love more than one person. Like, you coach people through that, which is two totally different things.
Absolutely. And so it's important, because you need a team. And I try to tell people, like, think of the person who made Pepsi. Easy, probably 6 to 7 ingredients can make it. Anyone can make it at home, yet no one will. And a team of people got together to make this a product that now is worldwide and making lots of money. And so when you're talking about being a successful person in this world, you need a team behind you. Get you a therapist, get you a coach, get you a sex coach to learn how to be better. Especially, oh my God, my sex got better when I got a sex coach. I got a sex coach back when I was like probably 25, 26, because this girl made it make so much sense to me, because I told her, I was like, I ain't never heard no complaints before. And then she looked at me and she said, yeah, but then how many of them comes back to you? And then when she said that, and I thought to myself, I was like, I ain't gonna cry in front of you, but when I go home, I'm gonna cry, and I'm gonna go get me a sex coach. And it was the best fucking thing ever.
But even still, coming back still isn't a
don't mean
good
shit.
successful
True.
metric.
Yes.
Because I've like, and I hate this for women, I hate this for us. Sometimes we'll be like, well, it wasn't bad, it wasn't great, but it'll do.
It'll do
like,
for now.
It'll do. It's like when people go to like a fast food restaurant, like, this ain't really what I want, but
it'll fill me up. Yeah. And it's terrible to think about that through sex. And so I will say, sex coach is very important in your life. Don't think just because, oh, you ain't heard complaints, or just because you hear you haven't had problems of your own, don't think you won't.
That's your ego. That is your ego telling you that, because baby,
it is.
I am out here saving lives. I am out here saving
Yes. Superhero for real. Y'all don't even know.
I am a superhero. I am out here saving people's sex lives.
Yeah, one gawk at a time. There you go.
One class at a time. One party at a time.
Yes. And so I would definitely tell people, look up the Office ENT, find us, theofficeent.com. That's the easiest way. But if you look me up on Facebook, the Office ENT, we have parties every month, and I do free coaching every Friday in the Facebook group at 6. Nice.
Perfect. Where can people find you outside of, joining the Facebook group? Do you have an Instagram, the website? Plug that.
Yeah, so the website, the officeent.com, I have an Instagram, but I don't know how to use Instagram.
That's fine. You're a Facebook person. That's cool.
Yep.
So find them on Facebook.
Yep, find me on Facebook, because I try TikTok, I try Instagram, and then I'd be like, damn, I think I'm too old for these things now.
Yeah, Instagram my jam.
Yeah?
Instagram my jam.
I mean, when you said what year you graduated high school, I figured Instagram would be your jam.
Yeah, Instagram my jam.
See, I came up during the MySpace years, so Instagram is not my jam no more.
Okay, cool. Well, this is amazing. Yes. Guys, as always, make sure you are rating and reviewing the show. That is how people find me. Share the show with a couple people that you think will enjoy the content. As always, I am accepting new clients for sex coaching services, so hit me up if you would like that from me. Also, I am still teaching classes through Tease University, so if you want to get access to that, make sure you are clicking the link in my bio on Instagram. You can find a link to Tease University there. Also, expect some more in-person sex coaching classes to come. I have a lot of stuff that I'm working on, specifically the expansion of the bedroom blueprint, which, as some of you guys know, is the way in which I am helping to elevate your sex game and give you porn star status. Ooh. So I'm dropping cheat codes and everything that I know and helping the girls. Okay. And what else? I will be teaching at Exotica. This episode is dropping in a couple days. So if you are in Miami, come see me at Exotica. I will be teaching my signature throat choreography class as well as a postpartum sexuality class. So, and also on Sunday, June 30th, I will be performing at Zanny's with the Shameless Sex podcast. I will be doing some more fun performances there as well. Okay. And yeah, so if y'all follow me on Instagram, y'all know y'all can keep up with everything that I got going on. I always got something going on. If you are subscribing to the Patreon, expect way more content to come. Like, I'm finna go crazy on Patreon with the bonus content that you will not be able to access anywhere else. And yeah, that's all I have for now. This was an amazing conversation. Thank you for this exchange. I really appreciate it.
I loved it.
And yeah, that's it, y'all. We out.
Hey, peace.